With my hands resting on the wooden table before me, I felt the weight of the courtroom's heavy tension as I sat there. As I ran my fingers over each surface, across from me sat Camilla, my soon-to-be ex-wife, who looked victorious in her neatly done hair and crisp gray suit. Griffin Leary, her attorney, sat back in his chair and grinned condescendingly, as if he was relishing in the humiliation of my divorce. We were finally at the conclusion of what felt like an eternity of hearings, and now they were dividing up our life like there was no tomorrow. "Enjoy your garage sale," Griffin's caustic and scornful voice sliced through the room. "New life. You'll be going with nothing," he said, his eyes glinting with victory. Camilla didn't even glance at me. I felt my heart pound as she shouted her harsh, abrupt words. "You should have been a better husband." Her angry outburst could have been accompanied by a stronger emotion, regret, maybe even hurt, but I suppressed any reaction. My mouth clenched, and my gaze fixed on the judge's aged hands as he shuffled documents in front of him. The judge, a tired-looking man with gray hair and a voice like gravel, turned to me. "Mr. Rhodes, do you have any final words before I make my ruling?" he asked, gazing over his spectacles. The room got quiet. I could feel Camilla and Griffin watching me, waiting for me to collapse, to plead, to say something weak. But I didn't. Instead, I felt a small, odd calm fall over me. Like the instant before a storm hits, I reached into my suitcase, my fingertips brushing over the big folder I'd spent months putting together. "Actually, yes," I said, my voice steady as I slipped it over the table toward him. "I'd like to submit this as evidence." The judge lifted an eyebrow, intrigued, and grabbed it from me. Camilla's head snapped up, her eyes narrowing. But I didn't glance at her. Not yet. I wanted to see her expression as the truth hit. The judge opened the folder, his fingers scrolling over the pages, one by one. I knew what he was seeing. Every receipt, every email, every bank statement I dug up like lost treasure. My hands stayed clenched in front of me, but inside my mind was racing. This wasn't just about the divorce anymore. This was about everything she had taken from me, everything she believed I'd let her get away with. The stillness stretched on. I braved a glimpse at Camilla. Her smirk was gone. Her face had gone pale, like the life had drained right out of her. Griffin shifted in his seat, his fingers tapping uncomfortably on the table, his confidence breaking. "What is this?" he whispered beneath his breath. But I didn't answer. I didn't need to. The judge's eyes flicked up to me, then down to the papers, and I could tell he was starting to realize. I relaxed back in my chair, letting the moment soak in. For months, I had been the quiet one, the guy who didn't fight back, the husband who let her walk all over him. But not today. Today, I was the one with the upper hand, and it felt nice. Better than I'd expected. Camilla's voice shattered the quiet, harsh, and unsteady. "What did you do?" she growled, moving toward me, her eyes wide with something I hadn't seen in her before. Fear. I didn't answer right away. I simply smiled, a small, tight smile, and moved my attention back to the judge. He cleared his throat, set the folder down, and looked at Camilla's side of the room. "Counselor, Ms. Rhodes," he continued, his tone hard. "We're going to need to discuss this further." My heart kept hammering, but now it wasn't anger driving it, it was satisfaction. I had played my hand, and the game was about to change. The courtroom crackled with whispers as the judge called for a recess. I watched Camilla and Griffin huddle, close, their heads down, their voices sharp and quick. She threw me a look, half wrath, half panic, and I met her gaze without flinching. 12 years of marriage, and it had come to this. Me, with a folder full of her secrets. Her, with nothing. Except a lawyer who was starting to sweat. Didn't know what the judge would decide. Not yet. But I knew one thing for sure. Camilla wasn't laughing anymore, and that was enough for now. I rose as the bailiff signaled for us to leave the room, my folder still resting on the judge's bench. Like a ticking bomb. This wasn't the end, not even close, but it was a start. A damn good one. I walked out of the courtroom, my footsteps steady, my head high, feeling lighter than I had in years. Whatever came next, I was ready. I looked through the pages again, reading every sentence, every cold, planned detail. She wanted the house we'd bought together, the one I'd fixed up with my own hands. Fresh paint, new floors, every leaky faucet replaced. She wanted the business, all of it, even though I'd been there from day one, back when it was only a concept scribbled on a napkin. No alimony, no equity, no nothing. Just a clean break for her and a vast, empty nothing for me. My chest squeezed and I clenched my jaw, fighting to keep the rage from pouring out. I wanted to yell, to throw the papers in her face, to demand she explain how she could do this. But I didn't. I just sat there breathing hard, letting it soak in. By the time she left for work, her heels clicking on the floor as she grabbed her purse and walked out, I was still on the couch. The door slammed shut, and the stillness engulfed me. I gazed around the room, the framed images of us, the furnishings we'd picked out together, the life we'd established. And it hit me. She'd planned this. She'd been steps ahead, preparing. This casual goodbye while I was still playing the devoted husband. I dumped the papers on the coffee table and fell back, staring at the ceiling. I could have asked her to stay, could have fought right then and there. But what was the point? She'd made up her mind, and I wasn't in it anymore. But as the minutes ticked by, something else started building inside me. Not just hurt, not just anger, but a spark of something harder, something sharper. I wasn't going to let her walk away with everything. Not like this. I didn't know how yet, but I'd find a way to fight back. That morning, when she handed me those papers, she thought she'd ended it. She didn't realize she'd just started something bigger. I wasn't always the man sitting quietly in the background, letting life happen around me. I used to be more than that. And that morning, when Camilla slapped the divorce papers on me, I couldn't stop thinking about how it all started. I sat in the living room, in the exact spot where I'd first looked at those documents. But now, my mind was wandering back to the early days, back when Camilla and I were a team. The house was still silent, the kind of silence that presses down on you. And I could almost hear the echoes of how things used to be. I'd been her biggest supporter when she started Rhodes Interiors, back when it was just the two of us in a tiny apartment, her sketching designs on cheap graph paper while I built. Her first portfolio website from scratch. I wasn't a tech whiz, but I figured it out. Hours of trial and error. Late nights with bad coffee, just so she could showcase her art to the world. She'd smiled at me then, her eyes bright, saying, "We're going to make it big, you and me." I believed her. I believed in us. In those early years, I was wherever she needed me to be. I'd cold call potential clients, my voice shaky but determined, setting up meetings so she could pitch her ideas. I'd shake hands at networking events, my tie crooked and my palms sweaty, while she worked the room like she was born for it. People started noticing her, her talent, her charm, and soon the clients rolled in. I was proud. Even if I stayed, in the shadows I didn't mind.